What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA, and this is my review of House of the Dragon episode 3. The episodes just keep getting better and better. I think this one takes off right off the bat. Easily the best episode so far. It's just a young season, but nevertheless, hey, they getting the job done over there at HBO with this particular series, at least so far. You know, kind of feeling like, yeah, maybe they found their footing again after that Game of Thrones season 8, and now they're landing with both feet on solid ground. They know exactly what they want to do and how they want to take this series, and yeah, this thing builds out absolutely great. This episode, in contrast to the previous two, doesn't feature a lot of Daemon Targaryen, although I feel like he was still a huge impact character in this particular episode. There's a point at the very end of the episode he's silent the entire time, and yet his power still resonates through the screen. Matt Smith is doing a great job acting this character out, but this particular episode belongs to Viserys and Rhaenyra. Those two actors are doing absolutely great. Patty Constantine and Millie Alcock doing an absolute wonderful, phenomenal job acting these two characters out, and I'm riveted every time I see the two of them talking to each other, especially when they are talking to each other. You're getting a lot of emotions and feelings. This is a father talking to a daughter, and he's trying to make sure that everything is going to be okay, and not just with his kingdom, but with her specifically. He cares about his daughter, and it comes out through the acting. He really cares, and that's really something to see. And you've seen these shows before where, you know, a lot of times the family just comes second. In this case, it doesn't. And that's what I like about this. So it's been 3 years, right? It's a 3-year gap between the last episode and this episode, and lots been going on. You know, obviously from the first scene, we know that it's not going too well, of course, over there on the Stepstones with Corlys and Daemon's alliance. They're not having a good time. The crab feeders just kind of getting the upper hand on them every time they try to capture this guy or corner this guy or get his men wiped out. They retreat into these caves where they simply can't go. So that's been an issue. But then when we move over to King's Landing, we see that, you know, new baby boy is here. He's 2-year-old for the king. His name is Aegon. And yeah, they're very excited. They're like, okay, cool. You know, it's time to name the new heir. That's, of course, is putting a big rift, a huge rift between the king and his daughter. So how's that all going to play out? The character work is super excellent in this one. And this is where you can see a huge contrast between a show like House of the Dragon and a show like The Rings of Power, because the House of the Dragon actually takes time to give you good character work. They're not just trying to talk and babble all over the place with flowery language. No, they're actually giving you solid character work, something that people can relate to. It's like finally he has everything he wants, right? Like he has his heir, he has his baby boy, right? He's a married man, and his family right now is going to build, you know, so he's excited about that. But at the same time, still feels compelled to make good on his promise to his daughter when she was named heir to the throne, right? So he still feels that tug of war there. And then Rhaenyra on the other side, she doesn't want to lose herself being the heir. She's trying to prove that she is a competent ruler on the same foot while being estranged from her father, you know, and her best friend for that matter. All of these individual stories and characters have a purpose to the overall narrative. That's what's really important when you have lots of moving parts in a show, is that everything kind of connects together, you know? Like take for instance the scene where you see Kristen Cole talking with Rhaenyra as they're walking through the forest with their horses, and they're discussing their various stations in life, and then Rhaenyra kind of makes this comment of, well, you know, I don't really have any real power, I'm a nothing, and he comes back and says, well, you wrote my name down in the book that gave me the highest station that anyone in my family has ever had in life. So yeah, I don't think you're a nothing burger at all. You know, it's like kind of makes you sit back and think like, maybe changes her thinking a little bit. And that's the kind of writing that you see. Now compare that scene, that simple scene, to that nonsense we got with Galadriel and Elrond, you know, the whole evil doesn't sleep, it waits. That whole nonsense, like that whole scene was just nothing but flowery language, bibble babble blather. Yeah, there was some stuff going on there, but for the most part it was a nothing burger. It was empty calories, and that's the problem with that show. Almost every scene in this show has value. Like, you can't skip anything. You could have totally skipped that Elrond Galadriel scene. You can't skip anything in this one, otherwise you've lost something, okay? And you're gonna have to rewind back. Wait, what happened? I missed something, okay? That's the beauty of a well-told story, is that everything matters, everything counts, every character counts. House of the Dragon does a good job. It's just humanizing the characters, making you understand where they're coming from, like connecting you to them. You know, Viserys has the one line when he's talking to Alicent, and she says, you know, well, what do you believe? And he says, I believe I'll be forever doomed, you know, at angering at one person to please someone else. Like, you know, everybody can relate to that, right? You ever been in the middle, tug of war, going back and forth? People can relate to these characters. That's why this show is so good. That's why this show gets good ratings versus another show. And the thing about that line, which is so powerful, is we didn't even really need to hear him say that to know that that's his struggle right now. Like, we saw him dealing with that with his brother, okay? We saw him dealing with that with, you know, Corlys, you know, dealing with that situation. All the other guys on the council, dealing with Otto, you know, now dealing with his wife. You know, his wife didn't want to have all these kids, but he kept trying to push her to do so that she could, you know, have that baby boy finally, you know? And now he's going through the same exact thing with his daughter and this heir business. Yeah, we see what you're dealing with, Viserys, but when he says it and you can hear it coming from his mouth, his own lips, is saying exactly what's going on inside of his mind, it just sticks the landing on us understanding the character. Is like, yep, that's what I was thinking he's dealing with, and that's exactly what he says. And it's a beautiful moment, and it's and just a short line, and it is powerful. And these are the types of things that make a show like House of the Dragon relatable to like your common guy that doesn't give a damn about dragons or the fantasy or anything. That's why Game of Thrones took off and became huge, Bezos, okay? That's why it became what it became. It isn't because it was some fantasy show with dragons in it. It was because the character work and the storytelling was highly relatable to everybody that was watching it. You have to have an understanding of why certain things are popular, why things take off and become a worldwide hit, and why other things get review bombed into oblivion. You know, you got to understand this stuff and make sure before you throw in $1 billion after one season that you've done your homework. Rhaenyra is just a fascinating character herself. I can't say enough about the work that's being done with the writing and with the actors. I think the actors are doing a phenomenal job. Slam dunk, hitting it out of the park. The story drags at times, so it's not a perfect story, but every moment you feel the importance and the weight of every scene that pops up there. They're not just throwing fluff on the screen for you to just kind of, oh, how pretty, look at the pretty pictures. No, they're actually giving you really strong dialogue as well as storylines. The hunt itself, right? You could think, oh, it's just a hunt, and they're going through this thing and they're just hunting down a creature, and maybe something happens. Maybe they find the creature, maybe they don't, right? No, they're actually hunting for a white heart, which is like a divine sign from above that, you know, whatever is transpiring around, that's an important thing that you need to be paying attention to, okay? And we already know that this king from the previous 2 episodes is very, very superstitious. So him finding this white heart would probably indicate, yeah, I need to go ahead and make my young boy the heir to the throne. Sorry, Rhaenyra, hey, you know, I tried, but you know, hey, white hearts, hey, I got to stick with that. But instead, the camp and the men, they come upon a brown heart, or not a white heart anyway. And, you know, they say, well, you know, he's not a white heart, but he's big. And you can already see the wheels working in the king's mind, like, oh, shoot, if I had found that white heart, you know, things would have been different. But he goes ahead and kills it, and that's that. On the flip side, right, you know, Rhaenyra actually comes in contact with the boar, slays the boar with the help of Kristen, kills him, and then, you know, drags him back to camp, but not before she actually sees the white heart. And she tells Kristen, no, we're not going to kill it. And the white heart just takes off and lets it go. And you start to see, like, okay, she sees that, no, we're not going to kill this because I'm not going to win the throne this way. Okay, that's not what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to go in here and prove that I got this myself. And then she takes that boar back, bloodied all the way up, all right? And then everybody's kind of just looking at her like, okay, all right, nice. You know, it's just such an interesting way of telling a story. You don't have to just spell everything out, right? You know, it's just subtle subtext, right? Subtle subtext, just layering all these various, and they don't have to say anything. They don't have to say a word, okay? Just layering all of this stuff underneath the dialogue and the action, you're just kind of planting these little seeds so that when people watch it, they're like, oh, look at that, you know. That's great writing. Again, I can't say enough about how these guys are doing a bang up job with the writing. But anyway, folks, that's my review of House of the Dragon. Let's go ahead and check the game board. Let's see who's rising and who's falling in this series so far. All right, folks, here we go with the readjusted game board after episode 3. So we can see Viserys is climbing up the ranks. In my opinion, right now, he's the #1 character that we need to follow as far as interest, as far as intrigue. And right below him is Rhaenyra. You remember last week they were on the other side because of everything that those guys were doing on the right side, mostly Corlys and Otto. They had laid things out very well. Daemon's still kind of down there. Like I said, he didn't have a huge lot to do in this particular episode. This was really about Viserys and Rhaenyra. However, Daemon has absolutely been crushing it in every other aspect, and even in this particular episode, him riding in on that dragon at the beginning was absolutely awesome. And then, of course, at the very end, you know, the whole fake out with, oh yeah, I'm a sacrifice, yeah, I'm gonna be the bait that my team needs to go in here and get the job done. I thought that was an absolutely great scene. Really builds his character and shows like, hey, I'm not taking no help from you, Viserys, okay? You can go ahead and go on somewhere with your help. I'm going to do this myself. And by doing so, he wins the hearts and minds of the men that are around him. Again, same thing like Rhaenyra, you know, bringing back that wild boar dead and she's all covered in blood. That juxtaposition between those two is just fascinating. They're very similar characters in the way they think. You know, I'm gonna do this myself, I'm gonna get this done my way. And two of them have a very close relationship. I'm looking to see what happens when these two link up again, and hear that dialogue and hear that conversation. That's going to be absolutely phenomenal stuff. I can't wait to see that. Yeah, great show so far. Loving the show. Not necessarily saying it's the best thing I've ever seen, but I'm highly entertained and I'm looking forward to the next episode. But anyway, folks, what do you think about House of the Dragon episode 3? Go ahead, give me your thoughts and your opinions in the comments below. And thanks for watching. See you next time.